Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. विदिताखिल शास्त्र सुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् करुणावरुणालय पालय माम् भवसागर दुःख विदून हृदम् रचयाखिल दर्शन तत्त्वविदम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भवशङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम्. We finished the first verse, I think. Yes? Now that was a particularly full one. I think from now it should go a little easier. So let us see. Faster. Palaya. Palaya means please protect me. Mam. Mam palaya. Please protect me. Two questions. Who is the one who should protect me? And the second question, protect me from what? Important question. Let us see the first one first. Karuna, Varuna, Alaya. The first composition, the compound is made up of three words. Karuna. What does Karuna mean? Compassion. Oh, wake up. Okay. Compassion. And then what is Varuna? Yes, close. Rain. Varuna means a lot of things. It means water, it means here in this particular context it means rain. Okay? Alaya means yes, very good. Abode, temple, house, warehouse, storehouse. No, not in this situation. Yeah. Don't go that far. Yeah. Because we are talking about Adi Shankara, we don't want to put him there. Yeah. So, Alaya. So, Karuna Varuna Alaya. There is a compassion, a rain of compassion. Karuna Varuna. A downpour of compassion. This is kind of a very interesting and a mixed metaphor. If they had said, if Totaka had said Karunalaya, that would have been nice. An abode, a storehouse, a big warehouse of compassion. Or he could have said Karuna Varuna. Karuna Varunaha. He could have said raining, the one who is raining compassion. But here, both of those things are there. A very beautiful, very, very wonderful metaphor. It shows the depth of both Totaka's understanding and the profundity that was Adi Shankara. So first we can look at it like this. Karuna, Karunalaya. This is, this is a common compound in India. Sometimes, what is that? Old age homes, orphanages are named like this, Karunalaya. Yeah, many times we have seen some kind of social service institutions, etc. And we had a politician in South India by the name of Karuna Nidhi. Nidhi means treasure trove of compassion. So that is more common. But this Karuna Varuna is a little less common. So first, if we take it as the storehouse, a huge, infinite warehouse of compassion, that's very nice. That's wonderful for somebody to be a warehouse of compassion. But then, if the warehouse is locked and the compassion is inside it, what is the use? No use at all. It's like saying, I have compassion within me. Okay, what is the evidence of it? It's just not coming out, that's all. I am compassionate, and you just have to take my word for it. And so this is so Karunalaya, even though it looks like a very complimentary name or a adjective for a person, may not be exuding that compassion, maybe just holding that compassion in. That is why the word Varuna is used, the one who is a downpour of compassion. A steady downpour of a random downpour of compassion for the one scorched by the sun of samsara, for the one parched, cracked by the difficulties of just daily living. And it's compared to the rain because the rain is indiscriminate. It does not say, these people in this particular country have made a mess of the earth and they have done all kinds of things to increase global warming, forest fires, and I'm not going to rain there. I'm going to rain only here. And I'm not going to rain in this other part because I don't like the people there. That's not compassion. Compassion means it is random, indiscriminate. And it just rains whenever and wherever it is supposed to rain, it rains. So Karuna Varunalaya means you are not only, O Shankara, this is again in the vocative case, O Shankara, O teacher of mine, you are not just a warehouse of compassion. That itself is difficult to achieve, to be a warehouse of compassion. But you are a raining down, a warehouse of compassion, which is a steady downpour of raining compassion. This makes it more dynamic and active rather than passive. Because warehouse means it is stored away somewhere. Who knows whether it's there or not, or how much of it is there. Because if one more person comes and asks, okay, I don't have any more to give. I need to recharge. I need to plug again, And so that's not there here. It's an endless storehouse, and it is shown to be an endless storehouse. How? Because it is raining. This is, also brings back a story in Adi Shankara's life. He was invited to Bhiksha by a very indigent very poor lady, a widow, who was living on the outskirts of town. So he went, and he went there. He went, usually when one person, the teacher goes for bhiksha, there will always be some hangers-on who join. Yeah. People are laughing because they've had that experience. And so there will always be, and no invitation is necessary. You just go along, And of course there'll be food, and whatever is there, everybody shares, and that's how it is. Then, in this case, they had to just kind of stop and pause because the cupboards were bare. There was no stove. I forget anything cooking on the stove. It was so poor. And all that was there was a small gooseberry that had seen better days. In fact, she had saved it. This is what I'm going to give. These are stories which really make the tradition alive. This one story and Shabari's story. Shabari's story in the Ramayana? Yeah? Yeah, so these are the stories that make the tradition alive and touch the heart. So here all she had was a dried gooseberry. And people were shocked. This is what you're going to feed? A teacher of this stature? This is what you're going to give? And she had it on a plate, and she had it all ready, and she was very poor, very apologetic, but she said, this is all I have been able to come up with, this is all I have. And of course the hungry students around Adi Shankara got angry also, which is very easy to happen. And they were chiding the poor woman. What do you mean? How could you invite him when all you had to do with this was to offer this, one gooseberry? And Adi Shankara had a different response. He just stood there. He didn't even enter the house. In the courtyard, he just stood there and composed extempore what has come down in the tradition to be known as Kanakadhara Stotram, a praise song for goddess Lakshmi in the form, Kanakadhara means a rain of gold. And then suddenly a magical rain of gooseberries started to happen in this courtyard of this woman, in just in front of the house. And all the people that had gathered, of course, everybody got to take a gooseberry home, I suppose. And there was plenty left over. It was just as long as he stood there, the story goes, composing this shloka, the gooseberry rain continued. And the poverty was gone, warded off the poverty. Why only for her? Why not? I'm sure there were other poor people in the neighborhood. Why not for all of them? It is just the Shraddha. The Shraddha is the key that unlocks the warehouse of compassion and converts it into a rain. That's what it is. And this lady had so much Shraddha that, she didn't want anything. She didn't think. And she herself, did not have any kind of ulterior motive in her mind. I'm going to invite him and something wonderful is going to happen in my life. No, she just wanted to do that. She just wanted to invite him, and all she had was this stale gooseberry. And gooseberry is not really something much to talk about. It needs a lot of accoutrements to even make it palatable. At the most, you can make it some kind of a jam or a pickle. If you eat it like that, your face goes, yeah. Kind of the face that teenagers make when they take a selfie, Yeah, everybody becomes like this, I don't know. So, because it is very astringent, very good for health, but extremely astringent. You can't eat it like that. What was she thinking? She was not thinking at all. She just said, this is what she probably had that. She used to eat that, perhaps. Maybe there was a tree growing in her yard because of this. She had that, and she just offered it out of Shraddha. And it changed, her destiny completely. She became very wealthy with gold stock immediately. And like this we hear in the tradition, there are so many stories. Sudama, a classmate of Lord Krishna, very poor, extremely poor, goes to visit him when he is the king of Dwaraka. And he doesn't want to go. In fact, he just wants the friendship. He doesn't want anything else at all. But he is encouraged to go. In fact, he is made to go. Why? Made to, what did you say? Nothing, yeah. By his wife. And the wife says, you have such a rich friend, and in an important, he's the king, in an important position, just go and ask him for something. Look, your children are in tatters. And how long is it since I had a new sari? I don't even know what that looks like. And so, better go. We are extremely poor and we need some change. And he is extremely reluctant, but he is pushed out of the house. She says, I'm not going to let you back in until you have gone there and come back. And he says, I can't go empty-handed. Oh, we don't have anything to give. Well, Krishna loves beaten rice, puffed rice. What is that called? Poha. So she says, okay, I'll make a little bit of that. So she made that. He carried it in a sad-looking poultice and then, little packet, and then went. And Krishna was delighted to see him, very delighted. Oh, come, come, come. May gave him a tour of the palace, sat down to a very palatial, wonderful, multi-course meal. But before he touched the food, he said, what have you brought for me? And Sudama, looking at all these wonderful palatial dishes, he put that poha even further inside his bag and made a mental note, I'm not going to take it out. I'm not going to, we are just going to forget about it because this is just such a sad thing. Because so much poverty, brings out a certain kind of a lack of self-confidence and some hesitation and a kind of a negative comparison of oneself with his friend who was in such a different position. So he was not going to bring out this at all. Krishna insisted. I smell something nice and I know it's over there. And I insist. No, it's nothing. I brought it for myself on the way, he said. He lied. He tried to, just fob him off. And Lord Krishna said, I'm not going to eat at all. If I eat, I'm going to eat that first. Otherwise, I'm not going to eat at all. Okay, now one is in a very difficult position. So he, with great difficulty and a lot of shame, he brought it out and just gave it. And Lord Krishna was so happy. Oh, something I always love. Poha, thank you. Halwa, very nice. And he took one mouthful and ate it. Took the next mouthful and ate it. And was about to take the third mouthful and eat it. And Rukmini held his hand. The consort of Lord Krishna, Shakti of Lord Krishna, held his hand, stopped him from eating it, because over there, back in his village, some miraculous things were happening with each mouthful. Yeah, and their hut turned into a mansion right there. And the children were all, were all well clad and everything. And then this is, so it's not that Rukmini was jealous of his friend. That's not how to read it, because Rukmini is none other than the Shakti of Lord Krishna, Maya Shakti. And the Shakti who gives, who takes back, and the Shakti said basically here that this man's karma only allows this much. And if more is given, it would create some kind of an imbalance. And that kind of an imbalance is difficult because it would create some kind of a social imbalance. And so when he went back, he didn't know anything that this had happened. He was very happy. He had such a wonderful visit, and Krishna gave him some gifts, and he went. And when he went there, he could not. The children were playing in the streets. As he approached, he could not recognize his own children. They were so nicely dressed, and he could not recognize his wife or his house. It was all completely, to call it a makeover would be a euphemism. A new house and big house. And so like this is again indiscriminate compassion. A compassion that just cannot be stopped. And therefore there is this reigning compassion. You who is a storehouse of compassion, and you who rains compassion indiscriminately upon those who are, and this is not said but it is an important point, upon those who are ready to receive it. This is extremely important. To be in the receiving line. Because otherwise, one will say, oh, this, I'm not getting Krishna's compassion. I'm not getting Adi Shankara's compassion. Have you placed yourself underneath the rain? That is the question. There is a story told of a brahmachari, what is that, a student who wanted some water or something like that, some drinking water. And he was told, go over there, this is being distributed, the water is being distributed, put your vessel and come. And so the first time he went there, he was just in his own world. He put a vessel and came, and then he went back to collect the vessel. He says, oh, no water is in my vessel. Every other vessel is filled, but no water is in my vessel. Why? Because he had put it on top, not at the bottom where all the other vessels were. And so this is a good reminder that the compassion of the lineage comes from teacher to student to teacher to student. And so being in the receiving line of that compassion means to not feel that one already knows, that one already has, that one doesn't need anything. And then if that feeling is there, when that ahankara comes and sits, then it becomes very, very difficult to receive. That is one of the reasons why it is so difficult to receive, because the person feels, I already know. And yet, yet one is puzzled. How come everybody else is getting it but me? And the famous song, whose chorus is Samsara song, whose chorus is why me, starts. Why only me? Why I am not having this? Have you positioned yourself correctly? Everybody else is being refreshed from the rain. Why me? Why I am not getting the cool rain on a hot day? Because you haven't gone out, you're still standing inside the building. A simple reason. Stand under the rain, you will get it. You will also get it. And so this is so it's not only the compassion. The compassion flows, but are you ready? Are you in a place to receive it? Or you may be standing in the rain, but you're not feeling the drops. Why? Because there is some disconnection there. I'm not getting wet. Why? Because I'm made of Teflon, non-stick. I'm untouched by this compassion. Why? So many things, unfortunately. Previous hurts, pains, distrusts, fear, all these things makes one sometimes makes one feel like one is unworthy of this compassion. And sometimes one feels like I have been singled out and I am not getting this compassion. Sometimes one feels like I am untouched by this compassion, I am hardened to this compassion. But yet, that is exactly what one needs. It's one more paradox of Vedanta, that one has to thaw out a little bit in order to allow the compassion to flow. And one more reason why this Karuna, Varuna, Laya, it's described as a rain, is to show that the tradition goes from teacher to student, who then becomes a teacher, to then the student, who then becomes a teacher, to another student, who then becomes a teacher. This is how para means that which came before. Avara means that which came afterwards. Para plus avara, paravara, is another way of saying parampara, same thing, paravara. In parampara it's para and apara, but here it is para and avara. In the Mundakopanishad we have that stanza. Bhidyate hridaya granthihi chidyante sarva samshayaha kshiyante cha asya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. Tasmin brahmani, in that Brahman I can see both para, that which came before, which is the cause, and avara, the effect. Or I can see that which is exalted, Brahman, Ishvara, and avara, that which is lowly, the jiva, as one. In the same Brahman I can see the expression of both. And that is something which is very, very wonderful. So this paravara or para apara becomes parampara. And this rain of compassion is parampara. And this, of all the manifestations of compassion, the most exalted expression of compassion is the teaching of Vedanta. That is the most exalted act of compassion. Why? Because you have been recruited by the student to solve a problem that really does not exist. That requires a lot of compassion. The Vedanta teacher cannot say, what is this? Go away. In fact, Pujya Swamiji used to talk about one sadhu in Rishikesh who was frequently one with marijuana, and he was just enjoying that. And when prospective students used to come to him, he would say, "What samsara?" There is no samsara, go away. And, so the teacher could say that. There is no samsara because I am not feeling the samsara. The teacher can think like this. I am not feeling the samsara. If you are feeling the samsara, that's your problem. But the Vedanta teacher doesn't do that. The Vedanta teacher doesn't do that. It's like this story which is told in the Shastra, an ancient story. Maybe it is from Panchadashi. Don't know where it is from. But so, and the story goes like this. There is a party happening, a yajna or some post-yajna. People are sitting there having lunch after some puja or yajna. And one man comes distraught and totally, completely, just in shock, traumatized. I've been bitten by a snake, I've been bitten by a snake. And everybody keeps their plates aside, washes their hands and quickly attends to him. And he's not even able to talk. He's so much in shock. And they are all, somebody's trying to ask him. Somebody's trying to give him a little slap to bring him out of his shock. Somebody is throwing cold water. Another person is giving him water to drink. And then somebody is saying, describe the snake. And then one more person is checking his body for any fang marks. Upon examining the whole body, there are no bite marks, no fang marks. And then they somehow calm him down and say, come on, show me, at least show me the snake. Then we can see if it's just a regular garden snake or a poisonous one like cobra, rattlesnake, etc. Let us see. Let us have a look if it is still there. And then upon being taken back into the garden, first of all, he doesn't want to go. He climbs on the person who is holding him because he doesn't want his feet to be on the floor. So he has to be practically carried into the garden. And then he looks and he says, he's afraid to look. He says, look over there, there it is. And all that is there is a rope. And you will not be surprised if the people just abandon him and scold him and say, you've just wasted our time and we were having a nice time at the party and you have just come and disrupted this celebration. What's wrong with you? Get over it. But let us say, in this group of people, there was a compassionate person. And so, and the person quickly thinks, okay, I think I know what's going on. There's something wrong. And that's why it's called rope, because it is a case of aropa. Okay? And so there's something obviously wrong. So first, you have to patiently sit with this person and bring him out of shock. Then you have to first say, this is not a snake, that which bit you. Then after negating the existence of the snake in his life, then it has to be showed that it is indeed an harmless rope. That requires a lot of patience. Wherever there is patience, compassion is not far behind. And so that is why he is Karunalaya and Karunavaruna. Karunavarunalaya, because he is a teacher of Vedanta. With one and only one single-minded commitment to show people the way to overcome samsara by dropping the division and by seeing the vision of oneself as whole. So that's why a lot of compassion is needed. A whole lot of compassion is needed. It's not like a small amount. There's all kinds of things, So like the man, the student thinks oneself as bitten by samsara. Samsara, snake, not just samsara. Help, I have been bitten. By what? Samsara, snake. Where is it? It's over there somewhere. That person, it's just like in kindergarten, this is how children, complain. He bit me. She beat me up. He stole my lunch. She pulled my hair. And among 5-year-olds, it is to be expected because there is no viveka. But here the person happens to be 55. And this one is stealing my chances. That one is stopping me from doing what I want. The third one is troubling me. The fourth one is mad and that's why I'm doing this. The fifth one is doing black magic. People will come with all kinds of complaints. Yeah. And one time I said, what do you want me to do in this black magic? And they said, I'm sure you also must have learnt a few spells. Put a spell on them. I was spellbound. Okay. So, all these things. And so this is how it is. I have been bitten by this thing, everything. The whole Jagat is a problem. The whole Jagat is this Jagat snake. The whole Jagat is either one big snake, a python, Jagat python, or It is small, small, many, many baby snakes. You know? Yeah, there are these people who deal with cobras and poisonous things. They have a long stick with a hook on it, and they are experts in picking up the snake, putting it into a bag. They have this. They have some very intense snake medicine. Amazing. And then they'll take the snake, and then they don't bother with anesthesia and all. It'll be wriggling, and they'll just give it a little thwack on the head. It'll go like that. And then they'll press the fangs to get the venom in order to make anti-venom. It's just amazing. And then they leave it in there, and then it comes to, and then before it recognizes them, they leave it in the they leave it in the wild somewhere. And so all these things, it's called the Irula tribes in Kerala. There is a Irula tribes of snake, what are they called? Snake catchers. And they do all kinds of things. And then sometimes they do more things, like they want, what is that called? Some book of records, Guinness Book of Records. And because they are used to it, and even, somehow they're used to the venom too, because they've been bitten many times in the course of their learning. So they'll spend a night in a pit full of vipers and then come out and claim the Guinness Book of World Records. And I don't think it's worth it, but who am I to say that? So each to their own, I suppose. So then, like this, everything is reduced to something dangerous in the world. And everyone is frightened all the time, filled with fear, filled with sorrow, filled with shock. Everything becomes snake-like, meaning dangerous, fearful, not able to do anything. And so therefore, here the teacher of Vedanta has to be extremely compassionate. If you tell the prospective student, they are not yet a student, they are just a frightened samsari. So if you tell the prospective student, get over yourself. What's wrong with you? That person is just like you. Why are you angry? It will not work. It will not work. Because that's what the whole world has told them all this time. Nobody has listened to them. Already that complex is there. Nobody loves me. Nobody wants me. Nobody listens to me. And so therefore, the teacher has to listen. The teacher has to understand this is what is there. And then the teacher has to, give a sadhana. Say Rama, Rama, Rama. Oh, it will go away? Yes, it will certainly go away. Say Rama, it worked for Valmiki. Why will it not work for you? Say Rama, Rama, Rama. Or go do something. Oh, that will help. Maybe it has some miraculous powers. Doing something is keeping the student busy, so that the mind doesn't overwhelm. And so like this, the deployment of various pedagogies in the teaching of Vedanta requires a great deal of compassion, because everybody is not at the same place. And the compassionate one knows that this is all a play of the universe. This is Prakriti, the play of nature. It doesn't mean somebody is better than another or somebody is ahead of another. No. It just means that right now this person is getting it, right now this person is yet to get it. So the compassionate one, like Adi Shankara, the compassionate teacher, takes the person where they are and makes them understand from their own perspective. I can never forget an incident in Rishikesh when I was with Pujya Swamiji once. We came out of class and we would sit in a little room, a satsang room. and just ask questions or talk or just sit there, just to be with him. He would have a cup of tea and then he would go away. But until then, he would allow us all to just sit there. So we all were sitting there, and then the electrician of the ashram came in, spoke no English, and he said to Swamiji in Hindi, "You know, you have been teaching this, and I have so much misfortune. I have been working here for 15 years as an electrician. I still have no idea what you are talking about," he said. And Swamiji's Hindi was not great because he was from South India. And this man spoke no English. And Swamiji first had to ask me, "What is he saying?" And I told, "This is what he is saying, Swamiji." And Swamiji said, "Oh, you have time now?" "Yes, Swamiji, I have time now. Sit down." He made him sit down and he said, "See?" And then he had a little lamp by his chair on the table. He turned that on and off, on and off. And he turned that on and he said, "What makes this turn on? Where is this magic? It must be in the bulb." And the electrician said, No, it's not the bulb. The electricity is flowing through the bulb. And then Swamiji said, "Yeah, in the same way, Bhagavan is flowing through many bodies, many minds, and lighting them up." So beautiful. And everybody had tears in their eyes because it took a long time because of the linguistic barriers and to explain and all the... But he had the vision. In just 15 minutes, he just explained everything. And he had to go somewhere also. He was busy that day, and he was not feeling too well, but still he took the time. And that man was transformed. Even till now, he keeps thinking of that lesson. It changed him completely. So it's like that. It's it's not like, the Vedanta teacher must not be or cannot afford to be like somebody who, like an erudite pandit, a scholar. I have studied Bhashya. So what if you have studied Bhashya? See, yeah, that's all. I don't have to deal with because I have studied Bhashya, and so I don't need this. I don't need you. I have studied Bhashya. I have studied Vartika, another kind of commentary. I have studied Karika, and you haven't done anything. And this is condescension, patronization. And that is not there because of the compassion. The compassion takes away that, the knowledge itself makes one humble. Because when you enter into the sea of the scriptures of Vedanta, you only know one thing, and that is how little you know. You just know how little you know. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shuni chaiva shvapakecha pandita samadarshinaha. That samatvam comes. Samadarshinaha means the one who has a vision of compassion which is even for all, which is equal for all. Why? Because they are equipped by knowledge, all right, but they are also equipped by humility with reference to all living things, with reference to people, with reference to animals, people, dogs, cows, people. So it's easy to be compassionate towards the dog, all right. But can you command the same compassion towards the dog eater? Shwapak means the one who cooks dogs and eats them for a living. Can you have that same compassion? That is the key here. And that is the transformation it takes. And so here, Palaya Mam, protect me. Protect me how? Rain on me your compassion. First meaning and very obvious meaning. Second meaning, make me as compassionate as you are. That's a whole another thing. How can the student be as compassionate? How can Adi Shankara's student be as compassionate as Adi Shankara? By delving into internalizing and assimilating the vision of Vedanta. No other way. You can't go to a school of compassion. There is no such school of compassion. And it is something to be, it is already there. It has to be tapped into and let go of. And again, this compassion is distinguished from dysfunctional codependency, acts of trying to help somebody or something like that. That's not what compassion is. One stays with oneself, and it is distinguished from, it doesn't mean you have to always jump out to act. That is not what it is. It is staying in your power. It is occupying your power and lending that compassion to whoever requires it. And sometimes that compassion takes very difficult forms, very interesting forms. There was a Vietnamese monk who recently passed away, and he had an ashram. There is an ashram in south of France, and there one man came after a terrible fire incident which consumed his house, his wife, and his young child. And he was totally traumatized, and so he was allowed to stay in the ashram. He was some kind of a photographer or some kind of a graphic artist. And so the monk said to him, you just relax, get over your pain, and then you can work in the pub, you can do some seva in the publications department so that your mind is also occupied. But he never came out of his hut, his little cottage that they had given him to stay, his cabin, never came out. 2-3 times when the monk was taking a walk, knocked on the door and said, "Come." No, I'm just here, I'm not well, I'm not okay. And then 6 months passed, many months passed like this. Another time the monk came, knocked on the door, got him out. And, "Come, join this, come for a walk." No. He was very respectful, standing there, but just dejected and desolate. "Do you have a match?" Yes. Gave the match. And the monk set fire to that cabin right in front of him. And the man was just crazy because it was like a reliving of that trauma. But then it woke him up. It didn't burn that much. Little bit it was starting to burn. And he just went and got water and everything. And he said, "How could you do this to me? This was my only place of refuge." And the monk said, "This is not a place of refuge. You're being imprisoned in your sorrow here." And then he understood because he was ready for this transformation. So that burning of the cottage to make somebody relive that pain was an incredible act of compassion. Compassion doesn't mean always, giving out candy. That's not what, that is not what we are talking about. So here, first protect me from so many things which the student might have. Palaya mam. But this palanam, the ultimate understanding of palanam is through the assimilating the learning. That is when one is really protected from samsara. What else do you need other than the teaching to protect you from samsara? The best protection from samsara is to know that it is not really there. What we are looking at is a benign expression of Bhagavan in the form of Jagat, in the form of people, in the form of things, events, situation, circumstances. Chara charatmakam, in the form of things that move, things that are stationary. That's all it is. My own vision of division converts this Jagat, this Bhagavat Srishti, into samsara, into a place of sorrow, strife, conflict, fear, etc., etc. And that division, that vision of division is removed. That is the ultimate protection. I am coated, I have a coating, so anti-samsara coating. Yeah, your compassion, Totaka is telling his teacher, have, sometimes, when they, nowadays, you buy some new furniture and then you spill some water and then it just rolls off. Yeah, it has some, I don't know what it's called, but some kind of a coating it has. Yeah, Scotch Guard, waterproof coating. And so here, studying the Shastra, so the Kena Upanishad is a samsara-proof coating. Kathopanishad coating, all these things. So it makes you samsara-proof. Somebody slings some insult and then it rolls off. And somebody says, oh, you're not good enough, rolls off. You don't internalize it. Because the Upanishad, the study of the Bhagavad Gita, very big coating. Yeah, Bhagavad Gita is a security blanket. And because of this, samsara doesn't touch me. So please protect me in that way. He karuna varunalaya palaya mam. Who is this me? Mam means me. Who is this me? Bhavasagara dukkha viduna hrit. That is another very big compound. And the root verb here is du. It is first conjugation, davati, or fifth conjugation also, dunoti. In both cases, the meaning is same, affliction. Du, to be afflicted, to be assailed. Duna, past passive participle. The one who is afflicted. And that we is specially afflicted. I have been targeted. That's what everyone in samsara feels. Nobody has the difficulty that I do. I am the one that has been targeted. How could Bhagavan be so cruel to me? Everybody feels like that. So when you say, why me? Quickly look around. And then there'll be a chorus of why me, why me. 7 billion people in the world. Everybody saying why me, why me, why me. That's what everybody feels that way. Nobody could have had the kinds of difficulties either which I have had or which I am having. This is a subjective perception. And so here he is giving into that perception and he says, I am viduna, visheshena duna. We are completely afflicted, specially targeted by what? Karma, by Bhagavan, by my own ignorance. I am afflicted. And then what has happened as a, what kind of an affliction? Bhavasagara. Bhavasagarena vidunah. So, by this Bhavasagara, by this ocean of, not compassion here, ocean of samsara. Bhava means samsara. Sagara, ocean. By this ocean of becoming something or the other. This is samsara. That's why samsara means some sorrow or the other. It leads to. Because one is never satisfied. It's an ocean of becoming. It's a life of becoming. First you become something, then you want to become famous, then you want to become rich, then you want to become rich and famous, and all this. So one after the other. Endless series of becomings. Very, very unbecoming from the standpoint of Vedanta. So Bhavasagara, viduna. By this Bhavasagara, I am afflicted. I am not afflicted. Hrit, the heart is afflicted. Hridam is object case. So I am that. Mam, it goes with mam. Palaya mam. Who is this mam? bhavasagara dukkha viduna hridam. So the dukkha, the sorrow of this samsara. What is the sorrow of samsara? Not getting what I want. This is a big sorrow. How often does it happen? All the time. All the time. And as though that was not enough, getting what I don't want, that also happens. Not only I did not get what I want, but I got double helpings of what I don't want. It's like the story of Pujya Swamiji going to somebody's house in Delhi. He went for bhiksha long back. And then he was served Karela by one mami, by one auntie. And then, he didn't care so much for Karela. Karela means some kind of a bitter gourd. He didn't care for it so much. He said, okay. He ate it. Like a good host, guest, he ate it. And then the next time, there was another bhiksha in another place in Delhi. They all called this mami. They said, oh, you hosted a successful lunch. Tell me what to make. And that lady said, Swamiji loves Karela. Please make Karela. So she made Karela from appetizer to dessert. Everything had this bitter gourd. And poor Swamiji had wherever, and then it was not just the one time or the second time. Wherever he went for the next few months, it was here a Karela, there a Karela, everywhere Karela, everywhere Karela. Karela, 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 Karela. And so he said, since he could not avoid Karela, he had to start loving the Karela. So whatever you don't want, you get in double helpings. This is how karma is. This is how prarabdha is. So the Karela attack is a prarabdha attack. But but for a jnani, the jnani learns to make peace with it. And here he says, please give me the wherewithal to this dukkha from samsara of not getting what I want and getting in double, triple, quadruple measure what I don't want. Protect me from that. Protect me whose heart is broken. This is what viduna hrid, who is heartbroken. Nowadays you have all these things you send in the text. What is that? One heart with a little crisscross, broken heart. And then one face with blue, what are they? Tears, blue water coming out. Yellow face with blue water. So if this was being written by a teenager, they wouldn't worry about all these Sanskrit compounds. They will draw one heart emoji with a cross in it, heart broken, and a emoji with blue tears flowing. So you can imagine that to assimilate the message. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.